Survivor Specialist Phil and Alexa are back with our episode 3 recap, and I am joined today by the Patreon superstar that we have right now, which is McKenna Feeney, who has been keeping us alive and well over on patreon.com/Survivor Specialist. She's been doing Australian Survivor. I know she's been doing Pearl Island. She did the whole season. Did a recap of that. Has been doing. What else have you been doing? There's a couple other things. Amazing Race.
Amazing Race. Yeah. Just like everything. It's weird like to see my face now and like I'm more than just a voice. So it's fun to be on the actual channel this time.
There you go. And so here you are, and you're coming in and you pretty much just saved Alexa's life. So Alexa comes in here and says that Chanel is her winner pick because she saw so much of herself in Chanel. I hope that's not still the case, though. I know Alexa would definitely defend Chanel and tell me I was completely wrong tonight. McKenna, I'm curious to see if you're going to do the same. I think Chanel is the reason why Jenny went home tonight. I think that Chanel just had no backbone when approached by Daniel, and I think Hai then took the backbone approach. But I'm curious to hear what others have to say because I know obviously I'm coming into this already wasn't the big, not that I wasn't the biggest Chanel fan, but being that Alexa had picked Chanel, I have to kind of take shots here and there. But I really do think that Chanel was really the reason that this all went to hell. What do you think?
I'm a big Lydia fan, so like my heart was in my throat the entire time. I was like, "Hi, stick strong, please, please, please." But I feel like Chanel. I'd sooner vote out Daniel over Chanel here. I mean, she was an idiot for risking her vote going to tribal council. But the way he was trying to like spin the whole story, and you could see Chanel was not like acting like what he's saying is wrong. Like she was very much like, whoa, hold on. This is not.
I just think that like, was she wrong though? Or was he wrong in this? I don't feel like he was. I feel like he called her out on it and she was trying to deflect because she didn't have a vote. And I feel like we saw Mike stand up in a much different way than Chanel did, where Chanel was kind of just trying to be like, well, I didn't like, you're lying. I didn't have anything to do with this. Like, you're the one who's voting. I don't even have a vote. We understand you don't have a vote, but who do you want to go home? Because Jeff did say this was a discussion for all four.
Right.
So it made me confused because Mike was willing to go in there and say, I think you should keep Jenny. And this is the reason why. Chanel wouldn't do that though. And by her not doing that, it made it so that Hai could sit there and say, you know what? I'm not going to change my vote, Daniel. It's up to you if you all want to draw rocks. Now, if Chanel comes at it with a different tone, could that possibly change the outcome, or do you not think there's any way?
If I was Hai, I am always sticking strong and keeping my vote on Jenny because what do I have 3 more days if we lose again? Like I'd rather go out by rocks now than be like maybe on the bottom for another couple of days because we know the game is expedited. We're in 3 tribes. I mean, I don't know if they're thinking that there'll be a tribe swap, but like we know now that there's not going to be a tribe swap. So for me, I'm always sticking strong because if I don't have my number 1 ally, where am I going?
Now, here's my question though. Hai was trying to figure out where these votes were. He doesn't know where these votes are. He doesn't know why people can't vote. He didn't have the privilege of seeing season 41 before going out there. Right. So he doesn't actually know that these votes won't, that Mike won't get his back and that he doesn't know why they've lost their votes. He's just confused by this. Do you think there was any part of him that maybe if Daniel, Chanel, and Mike would have played it up, say, we don't have votes anyway. Keep Jenny. You and Daniel can work together. Chanel and Mike can't vote. Now you just got to swing one, because my thing is Daniel clearly didn't want to go to rocks, and he made the mistake of saying, I don't want to go to rocks too early. By saying that, you're now giving Hai an out, because I didn't say that. Hai is bluffing and saying, I will go to rocks. I don't think Hai ever goes to rocks. If he votes out either Jenny or Lydia, he has a 0% chance of going home. If he doesn't, he has a 25% chance of going home. You don't take those odds. It doesn't make any sense. So
especially pre-merge.
Especially pre-merge, especially on night 7. Daniel was just the first one to say that. And I think Daniel got flustered because Chanel did not like the way that Daniel approached it. Now, I'm not saying that I think Daniel was right. I just am really surprised at how Chanel tried to deflect, and kept using the excuse of, I don't have a vote, which wasn't the point of this. All 4 of you were still set to make the decision. Even though only 2 of you were going to have the vote, you can still have your say, and she just didn't want any part of it.
Yeah, and I think Daniel also started off this tribal council sort of wrong, where he's just like, I'm paranoid. I'm constantly paranoid. I can never go with my gut. And like Hai now at that decision point has the upper hand because he knows if he pushes hard enough, Daniel will flip.
Exactly. And I think that tonight, I think that Daniel ultimately comes out of this in more trouble
Mhm.
than Chanel because he has proven that he's not trustworthy. And he has proven that he is willing to do whatever it's going to take to save himself. And so, because of that, I think he's in a worse spot than Chanel.
Yep.
And this decision looks like it's his decision. I think that's the other thing that hurts him because Mike will never know what Chanel would have done in the situation. Looks like next week Mike's ready to argue with Daniel.
Mhm.
He's never going to argue with Chanel because Chanel ultimately didn't have a say.
Yep.
Although I think that tonight proved your winner is not coming from Ika because they weren't on the show. I don't think that there's many options on this Vati tribe either. I think Hai is an option, and I think Mike is an option. I don't think Daniel, Chanel, or Lydia really have a chance at pulling out this game.
Yeah. It's gonna be rough, but also like we barely saw Erica, so you never
It's
know.
true. I just think though we never really saw Erica negatively. Now I know that we
Right.
heard about like, oh, she's going to be dangerous and this, that, and the other thing, but we never really saw her in such a negative light. Daniel and Chanel tonight had bad episodes.
Mm.
Chanel's reasoning behind turning the ship wheel didn't end up looking good for her. Daniel
So
losing
dumb.
things, everything was a mess. And so I think the two of them are in a lot of trouble. I'm just kind of lumping Lydia in because Lydia hasn't really had her own footing in this game.
Mhm.
But let's talk about Chanel's decision here. Her and Omer, not Omar, Omer, they go up and they go up to Shipwheel Island. They have this whole discussion, and Chanel says, I cannot lose my vote tonight, and then goes and risks her vote. Was she just over trusting of Omer this quickly? What was going on here?
I guess so because they were like, "All right, play it safe if there's, something that can benefit both of us." But there was not something that could benefit both of them with not risking your vote.
Yep.
So, her best decision, knowing she has a tribal council, knowing one person already can't vote that's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be in her alliance, it's just a recipe for disaster to risk your vote here. So, why not just give Omer the advantage and then you know where it is and you gain a relationship, which you were just talking about
Mm-hmm.
loving the cross tribal relationship.
And now, are you really going to trust Omer? Probably not, because you just feel like you were betrayed by Omer, even though in reality you weren't at all. We saw a very similar situation last season, and I forget exactly who it was involving, but two people went there. One person really needed the vote, the other person didn't. I think it might have been Shan and Liana. I think it might have been that one where Liana
Yeah.
really needed it, Shan didn't. And the one person decided, I'm not going to risk it. The other person, and they even said as they were turning it, you're welcome to whoever the other person was. I
Mhm.
forget which duo it was.
Oh, I
But
think Evie and it might
it
have
was
been
Evie and
Evie and
Deshaun.
Deshaun.
That would make sense. And so they were even, Evie was even saying, Deshaun, congratulations, you get this.
Yep.
Why was that not the case tonight? Like Chanel should have said it. Now, what confuses me though is Chanel plays so aggressively in that moment. So aggressive, and it ends up screwing her over.
Mhm.
But then when Daniel says to her, what should we do? She doesn't play aggressive. Instead, she tries to push it on to Daniel. We have seen one time in Survivor history this type of strategy work and the person win, and that's Adam Klein when it was the Taylor situation. But everybody was already so anti-Taylor that it didn't make a difference.
Mhm.
People are growing to be anti-Daniel, but they're not completely anti-Daniel. This is getting in an argument with, I don't know, I saw the name in the chat earlier, but like getting an argument with Jamie Newton. It's not going to do you anything because people are going to be annoyed with you no matter what.
Right.
Anyway, I can't believe she risked her vote. I knew Omer was going to, but now
Yeah.
Omer doesn't have a vote if this Taku tribe goes to tribal council. And if they don't, I believe he won't have a vote at the
Till March.
merge.
Yeah. And that's gonna suck.
That's probably going to be with the hourglass. So that could be a really big deal.
I swear if there's another hourglass.
There is,
Because
though. We already know.
fuck. Okay.
Yeah. Moving on. But I'm not going to lie. Like, so a lot of people in this chat are thinking that I'm just going to hate this. I actually thought this was really cool. And a point was brought up to me by one of my friends who watches the show pretty religiously. And he said, I like that people wanting advantages over social bonds is bleep people left and right because it's screwing people. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way, left and right. It really is, though, because they're all going for the advantages. And I do actually think that Survivor has found a way to, yes, 41 was its own thing.
Mhm.
But we're seeing in 42 now, Mike going for an advantage, he doesn't have a vote. Chanel goes for advantage, he doesn't have a vote. Omer goes for an advantage, he doesn't have a vote. Now we see that could put Jonathan in trouble next week because he opens his mouth and now Marianne's mad or whatever. I don't think that tribe's going to lose again because Jonathan's a tank. But
yeah.
all these people are going for advantages and they're losing stuff because of it. Marianne doesn't have a vote either. So next week, the only two people who can vote are Jonathan and Lindsay at a tribal council for Taku, which means Marianne is probably going home because Lindsay and Jonathan aren't going to vote for each other. So all of this chaos that is happening here is because people are going for advantages over social relationships. And I think tonight we saw where Chanel's flaw was, which is in the social game that she was talking up a lot. She also got the Bradley Clayhe, however you say his last name, you think I'll learn by now, A+ Survivor confessional of I'm so good, I don't even need a vote to control where people are going to go. That's not what happened. Hai and Lydia were too smart for you. And now Jenny is gone and Daniel is fractured. This Vati tribe, chaos tribe, don't see any of them really pulling this out unless it's Hai or Mike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that tribe is just, it's going to be interesting next week to see if they lose and what happens.
Mm-hmm.
They're messed up.
They're messed up. Very much. Very, very much. Well, let's jump over to a tribe that we didn't see tonight because it's going to take us 2 seconds. Ika tribe. Ika tribe ends up winning the immunity challenge, and we don't actually see them at all. We don't spend a single second on their beach. Have we seen this in the 3-tribe era other than maybe when Caleb got medevaced or anything like that? I feel like this is definitely strange that we just omitted 5 people from tonight's episode.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I could maybe think of is Tandang because they kept winning, but then you had Abby Maria and RC and Scoopin and stuff. So like they still got time.
They still showed their beach.
Yeah, exactly. This was very, very weird. And I would understand not showing it after the challenge because they won. We have to spend time with the loser. Nobody went on the journey. So, but like not showing them in a clip beforehand, we got Taku's aftermath. We got Vati's idol find or and then the whole realizing, oh, it's a full idol after once we hit the merge. It would have been nice to see something with Ika, even if it's just like just them messing around camp, having a grand old time. Like, yay, we didn't go to tribal this last time, something. But just to have absolutely nothing is wild.
I think it's the first time we've ever seen it. I really do. And I'm really surprised that it happened because you just didn't put them on screen. This reminded me of Galoo, but even Galoo would at least get like one quick second. Yep. I have Drea as my winner pick. This does a lot of damage, I would think, to Drea's win because, yeah, I get it was a really cool tribal council. They could have spent 3 seconds with them. Like you said, they could have just bounced over to watch Swathi try to get a fish or something. Like it didn't matter, but to do nothing, we didn't see that beach. They were all invisible except for the immunity challenge. That's very, very interesting.
Yeah, like we see in the preview for next week, Roxroy bossing people around. Why can't we get another hint at that at next week's with having him boss people around camp? Like just something.
Yeah, anything. They needed to at least clue us in that those people were still there and alive. and that would have been huge, but instead we didn't get that, and here we are.
And they almost died at the challenge.
They almost died at the challenge, and yeah, they did try to see. I was starting to think while that challenge is going on, okay, Blue's going to end up losing because they're never going to be able to get in, and they're going to have to stop the challenge, and then that's ultimately what's going to end it, and they're going to go, and then we'll see them. Instead, we didn't at all. So I am shocked. It was weird. Romeo, Tori, Drea, Roxroy, and Swathi, I know you're still there, but are you still there? I don't know. Just really weird that we didn't see them on our screens at all tonight. Yeah. All right, let's talk about Taku, and then we'll go back to Vati and kind of try to figure out where this mess is going to go. But Taku, Jonathan had probably a top 5 team challenge performance in the history of Survivor. What he did tonight was ridiculous. The fact that production actually stopped that challenge because the other tribes were never going to be able to do it. And Jonathan single-handedly did it all. Just shows you how amazing what he was able to do was. And I get he's this big, strong dude, but I don't know if John Mundo would have been able to do this. I don't know how good John Mundo is in the water. What Jonathan was able to do
Jonathan
tonight was
could
incredible.
stand for a lot more of
Even
the
with the
height.
swells. Yep.
So I think Johnny Mundo might have been able to, but just he's so built, he's able to stand and the waves just like bounce off of him. What I'm surprised that he didn't do was have everybody hold on to the ladder and like pull them with the ladder.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess at that point he just wanted to put them on his back and carry them around like a Papa Bear.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
that's what he was doing. And I mean, they had to stop the challenge because of how dangerous it was getting, and they were never going to get this done.
I thought the ladder was gonna fall right on top of Roxroy because it was like drowning him as
Yep.
they were trying to stand it up.
Yeah, and that's where they had the clip from last week of like, I need help. And it was like his head
Mhm.
stuck in the thing, but then he ended up not needing help. He was fine. So Jonathan's amazing there. We see them at camp. We get some actually the only person we didn't get a confessional from that tribe was Jonathan. But Lindsay, Marianne, Omer, they're kind of having their fun. We see
Mhm.
Marianne find this immunity idol. And we also find out though that Marianne told them all that she has an extra vote. What do you think about this strategy, considering she probably has to feel like she's a little bit on the outs on that tribe?
We but we got a clip last week about, like, Jonathan being like, "I don't wanna get rid of Marianne because I'm really tight with her." So,
Mhm.
like, I don't know if there's, like, an underlying, like if Omar starts something, next week or whatever, where there's an issue, Marianne might slip into that spot for Jonathan,
Mhm.
but she's just so much. She was more toned down this week, but
We
for
also
me
didn't see much of them.
right, but for me, someone who's just, like, up here, if there's no break in their height, I can't. You just gotta go, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I am very curious to see how this is going to end up working out for Marianne. I mean, I think Marianne could be in a good spot, but she now has no vote. Omer has no vote. So if she tries to
Mhm.
cause any type of drama, she can't pull anything off. I think the best thing in her favor is that her tribe might not lose again. And
Right.
if they don't lose again, well, guess what? It doesn't matter. She's going to just get a full idol once the merge hits, and
Right.
then she's the most powerful person in the game.
Idle and an extra vote.
Idol and an extra vote. I know. Think about that. Idol and an extra vote. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I
She
I
also looks a little ridiculous going into this challenge again because the challenge before she has the whole like I want to marry Zach, and then
mhm,
now she has the whole weird oh you've never heard of this story because she had to say her like one
yeah.
line, and it's like all right, Marianne, this is two challenges now that you're like out in the open.
But I think it's working for her because she's already like kind of out there and zany, and I think that that's ultimately helping her because
Mhm.
it's not making that even seem like it's a weird thing for her to say. Now, I do like that Mike still hasn't said his line, so it's not something that you have to say. And Mike hasn't said his line, even though Marianne said hers tonight. So he's waiting to find out what's going to happen with Ika, which, as we all know, Tori is going to end up finding it. I
Yep.
think because they spoiled that before the season even began.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous, and it hasn't happened yet. And we're coming into episode 4. So Tori's going to end up finding it. So I'm curious how this is going to work out for Mike, because now that Mike lost his closest ally, would he be willing to actually use an idol to get rid of Daniel or Chanel? Definitely more Daniel, that he feels so betrayed by right
Mhm.
now.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility because if you're Mike, you definitely have to feel on the hot seat because you have no, you're just coasting at this game because you have no vote. There's no way you can participate in anything besides trying to win the challenge.
Yeah. And he doesn't have his closest ally.
Yep.
Like, now who is his ally? He's not going to go to Daniel. He's never going to trust Daniel again. Daniel almost lost his idol, and he, voted out Jenny single-handedly, pretty much. He's not going
Yeah.
to trust Ty, and he's not going to trust Lydia, and he really can't trust Chanel. What does he do until he can get that vote? And when he does get that vote, what does he do then?
If I were him, I'd be like, all right, we were obviously on opposite sides of each other, Hai and Lydia, but these other two obviously are pretty shifty and we can't trust them. They were telling both of us the same stuff. We'll vote with you. We'll vote with you. Why don't us three just try and like ride this thing together?
Mhm.
But without him having a vote, they can be aligned all they want. It's still gonna come down to a tie.
And I don't think that Chanel and Daniel are going to work together because it really seems like Chanel was only working with Daniel because he was the only option she had.
Yeah.
Now she doesn't need to go to him. She can go to Hai and to Lydia. But do Hai and Lydia reward Daniel for keeping him around? I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. I wouldn't. I think Daniel's in a lot of trouble now. But I think Daniel's in a lot of trouble for some stuff that he did himself, but some of it just being the circumstance and who he thought was his closest ally. The same way he was leaving her out to dry, she absolutely left him out to dry in this situation. After tonight, we can finally start to, in my opinion, pick up who's going to win and who's not. I know everybody keeps going back to, well, Erica. Okay. Erica's an outlier. That's like Danny Boatwright won. That was an outlier. Like there are outliers. Natalie White is an outlier. You could probably have 5 of these across 41 seasons. That's 1/8 of the time. Like that's not very good. This isn't about being invisible or anything like that. Ika, maybe somebody can still pull it out. I just think it's weird that they weren't there at all. But Chanel and Daniel, after tonight, they both, whatever Edgic says, that was a complex N, whatever the hell it means. That was as negative as it can possibly be for both of them.
Yeah, it definitely was like strategy. What strategy? Like, where was that?
Yeah.
I thought it was just crazy that it got down to a tied vote. There was like the whisperings of like vote Lydia, and Hai was just like, this plan is also weird. Why are they trying to split our votes? And just, I'm glad he stuck to his guns and voted Jenny, and it happened the way it did. But I was just, wait, it's 45 and he's reading the votes.
I couldn't believe it.
Going down.
I could not believe. I felt the exact same way. I was like, "What are they doing? This doesn't seem to make very much sense here." Yeah, they read those so early, but I knew something was going to happen. And I once it started to become clear that Chanel didn't have a vote, I'm like, "Okay, this is gonna be a tie." It has been very clear since the beginning that Hai and Lydia are very tight.
Yep.
They've talked about it since day one. There's no way he's gonna vote her out. It's just not going to happen this early. And Daniel, if that was Chanel on the chopping block instead of Jenny, maybe Daniel does change his vote or doesn't change his vote and sits there and sticks with it. But he wasn't as close with Jenny. And I think, and this is where it just hurt Jenny that it was Daniel who had the vote and not Mike. If Mike has the vote, I think Mike immediately tries to bully his way through the situation. I'm saying that in a positive manner. I don't really care. I think he tries to bully his way through the situation. He says, I'm not voting for Jenny, so it's up to you if you want to draw rocks or not, but I'll draw rocks because I'm that loyal, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then even if he doesn't mean it, it's still going to put that doubt in Hai's mind. Daniel never put the doubt in Hai's mind. He made it so clear what he was looking to do, and that was it.
He just showed all of his cards to Hai, and Hai just still had him close to his chest and be like, "Oh yeah, mine beat yours." So like, all right, let's dance.
That's all it takes. So yeah. So again, we were supposed to be talking about Taku, and then we ended up on Vati anyway. But back over to Taku. So Marianne has an idol. Marianne has an extra vote, but she can't actually vote. Omer has no vote because he risked it, which I think made the most sense.
Yeah, and for sure he made the right decision.
Because he had to be assuming that she was never going to do this. It really was bad. It really was bad.
So bad.
It was really bad. Lindsay and Jonathan. Jonathan comes out of this like the big, strong guy, all of that. I think Jonathan still has some game left. I don't really know what's going on with next week's preview, but I'm not worried about it.
Understand how he's not this massive target once merge hits and is like the merge or second merge boot.
Mainly, I think he's going to be too valuable of a number to too many people. And I also think these are big enough of Survivor fans that they realize, okay, he might be really strong, but he can't do a puzzle worth shit. And he's made that very, very clear. He's made it very clear that he is not very good at puzzles. Like you think about it, Joe Engelman, Ozzy, they're very good at puzzles. They're not just strong. They're very good at puzzles. And I think that he's made it so clear he's not good at puzzles. That's what so many of this stuff is. That tribe lost the last challenge.
Yeah. And I guess we have like the, Joe and Ozzy like can do the physical and the puzzle, but then like you have James who like beasts the tribe challenges, but never won an individual immunity. So it could be like the same kind of thing where, the big muscle boys can do the tribe challenges because they have other people to pick up their slack. but once it comes to themselves.
And like Jeremiah Rodriguez says here, a lot of them are most likely going to view Jonathan as a meat shield. We heard Omer talk about this. He wants to keep Jonathan as a meat shield. If Lindsay, Omer, and Marianne all want to keep Jonathan, forget what's going to happen next week. There's going to be other people that are going to look at him as a meat shield too. Who's going to be the tribe that needs the people? Which tribe is going to be down? Is it going to be Vati? Is it going to be Ika? Is one of them going to get down to 3 people and say, you know what, let's team up with them. We can use Jonathan as a meat shield. Everybody's going to know we got to get rid of him before Final 7. I don't know how he would be at making a fire, but I'd hope he's pretty good, seeing that he sits on the beach all the time. But then again, everybody who plays Survivor at this point is good at making fire, or they should be. You have to assume they're going to be.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about Jonathan and his game. Lindsay, we had one confessional from. I still am trying to figure out exactly what Lindsay's game is, but she's being put to the forefront of our minds, which I think is very telling about the longevity to her game. She's going to be an important character, whether she wins or not, I don't know, but she is definitely a focal point.
Jonathan is the only one that doesn't have anything like advantage wise done with him, because Omer lost his vote. Marianne has the beware, and then Lindsay has the amulet.
That's right. And so what does the amulet count as at this moment?
I think it's an extra vote. I think all 3 of them get an extra vote, or they have a collective extra vote. That I am not too sure about, because they were like, you have to come together for these things.
So she can't play it right now, though. She couldn't play it till all 3 of them decide that they would play
I think they have to come together, and then if someone's lost, then there's the next step, and then the next step. So I guess it's just what you need at that point. I don't know.
Like, that makes sense.
You need one more vote.
So right now, she's not going to use it. She can't use it. So she's still in the same boat where she has just one simple vote here.
Then I forget what the middle step is, but then the idol is the last step if 2 people are gone.
Yeah, that one I knew. That was the last day. It's a full idol. I think it was a steal a vote. So it was an extra vote, then a steal a vote, and then an idol. And right now it would be the extra vote, but they can't use it unless all of them are together, which I kind of like this twist, because Lindsay has an advantage, but she doesn't really have an advantage. So right now we're seeing a lot of people with advantages that don't really have advantages, and they all happen to be on that tribe. Drea also has that same thing, and Hai has that same thing, and that's why Hai couldn't do anything about it tonight. I did love, though, Hai with his whole, I can't figure out who's voting, who's not, where's the votes, all of that. This was something that we didn't get to see come up in 41 when people weren't voting, or when they were. And a lot of times, I don't think
they were all unanimous, or like where the vote didn't need to be read. Or I think there was one instance where they read all the votes and was like, all right, this person's voted out.
Yeah. And it wasn't all the votes. So there was an extra vote, and everybody was like, wait, where'd that come from? But in this one,
we had to they had to
raise their hands. That's weird.
Because we're going to get the backlash of like, all right, Chanel, you said you played it safe, and now you don't have a vote. And then what the heck is up with you, Mike?
Yeah, so why do you not have a vote?
To get some form of explanation. Now, does everyone know about Mike's idol? Does everyone know Chanel tried to go for that advantage? We'll find out next week, but it's definitely going to be a weird aftermath in the morning / late night of that tribal council.
And I think at this point, Mike has nothing to lose by saying, hey, here's the deal. And also, one of the tribes has it. So if the blue tribe gets it, you guys are screwed, because I'm going to play it, and I'll play it just to get rid of one of you because you guys pissed me off this week. Like, I can see that happening very much in this, like, very soon in the future. So I think he's in an okay spot, actually. I mean, he's coming out of this. He's got no teeth. I think Daniel and Chanel are going to fight with each other. I think Hai is going to be pissed at Daniel and Chanel because they were supposed to vote with each other. Mike's just going to be waving, because everybody knew Mike and Mike and Jenny were tight. The votes were supposed to go between Mike and Jenny. And now I think that there's going to be so much infighting between the other 4 that I think Mike is going to become unscathed. And I think it's going to come out. I think Chanel has the harder job explaining, okay, I didn't actually play it safe. I know I told you all I did, but I didn't. And if I had played it safe, I would have voted out Lydia. That is a terrible look right now, considering you're going into a 2-2 split. You can't really trust Daniel, and Mike doesn't even have a vote. That is not a good place to be for Chanel right now.
No. Daniel and Chanel are both kind of just flip a coin who goes next.
Yeah, I think it would be Daniel, though. I do think it would be Daniel. I think Daniel, I don't think he really gains any. I think his back was against the wall, and I think everybody can see through the fact that he wasn't really all that stoked about, helping to keep Lydia in this game, really by any means.
Yeah.
All right, I want to jump over to the prop bit real quick because while we have a lot of people watching, I want to make sure that I got
Mhm.
everything. So Marianne got a hidden mini idol, so that's one thing. Jenny did have a confessional in every episode, so that was another thing. And Omer had the episode title. I didn't see any mouth blurs. I do think Chanel had a chance to have one, but I kind of missed it. I was looking down and then like I heard the music drop.
We
So
did get one step closer for both Lydia and Romeo.
and Daniel.
Oh, and Daniel for sitting
Yeah.
out.
They all had 2. Swati, Drea, Roxroy, Romeo, and Tori all have 3 rewards, so they're 2 away from hitting that. The Green Tribe all has 1. Jenny has no chance of getting that now, and the Orange Tribe all has 1. So that's all I had for tonight. I didn't have anything else going on. If anybody else had anything that I didn't see, Jag Jennings says Marianne with the fudge and shiz fake outs. I like that because they had to put the subtitles so that people wouldn't mistakenly think she was cursing. But those are the only 3 things I had for this episode. Jonathan will not get a confessional in every episode he is in, which I'm kind of honestly a little surprised at. I figured he would eat up a lot, but
I think he probably just there was so much of him in the challenge that they were like, all right, we can take a back seat on confessionals. But like, I don't know. I like to hear from people at least once. Like, it doesn't have to be long. Like, where the hell was Ika? But
where the hell was he? Exactly. So over on the bootless game, right now there's 2 people with 5 points. That's Zach and that is Corwin Green. They both have 5 points. Zach, no last name, so just Zach. A couple people with 8, Livingston, Slick Slayer twice, so that doesn't count. Both Jacob Meyer has 9 and Robert Kraus has 9. Everybody else is in double digits. So if you're one of those people, you're in the lead right now. Hard to have single digits on this season, that's for sure. Prop bet scoreboard, Nintendoshi has 19, still in the lead. Colin Vland Blaricom with 18 in second. Nick Vitiello with 16 in third. And Boring and Bland has 15. Then there's a bunch of people with 12, 11, 10. So that kind of goes down the line. I have 6, so not doing great. Did Intern pick up his first point this week? He did not. Intern still has 0s. I'm very happy. One of 3 people.
Nice.
One of 3 people. And Alexa only has 2. I finally took my first hit in the fantasy game, though, and it was Jenny. How do you feel? Okay, so Jenny goes home. We haven't really talked about Jenny in all of this. So how do you feel about the way Jenny went, the way Jenny was edited, and what do you think Jenny's actual upside would have been had she played on something pre-season 40?
I think she still probably goes pre-merge. But I like her, but we weren't getting enough, I think, from her and enough positive from her. She was just kind of getting those like meh confessionals where there was never anything like gripping about her confessionals. And so like I never really got attached to Jenny. She was just there with Mike. And I would have liked to see something in like maybe a bigger tribe where she might be able to like sneak by a little bit, go more on under the radar, and then we see Jenny like do something. But I still don't think she fares much better.
Yeah, see, I think she would have been like a mid-merge boot. She had that feel of like somebody who would have kind of went with the flow, done what she was supposed to do, and then ultimately gotten taken out because she wasn't at the top of her alliance or she was going to win or something like that. I don't think Jenny was ever going to win, but I do think Jenny got a raw deal in this season. It sucks to see people go out like this. Although I will say, I actually really enjoyed. It sucks that it's Jenny, but honestly, it's going to suck whoever goes here. I thought this was one of the fairer of the screwed over Rob Giottis BS. Yeah. I really think that this was some of the fair points of that because I think that there's a lot of times where we see this where Malcolm goes home and he's like, I'm going to throw up or whatever. And like, that was just nonsense. That was so contrived. This was contrived, but Jenny went home because ultimately she sided with people who weren't that good at Survivor. She had the opportunity to side with Hai and to side with Lydia, and she sided with Chanel and Mike. And I'm not saying Mike necessarily and Chanel aren't good at Survivor, but they made the wrong decisions early, or they were just put in bad situations early, and it screwed over Jenny, but Jenny didn't have close enough relationship with 2 of the other people on the tribe.
I think Mike plays very typical old school loyalty. He's
Mhm.
like stumbled upon the advantage. And then you have Chanel who's trying to new school or new school, big brain, try and game the system. And then Jenny's like here trying to play a roughly middle school game. And it's
Mhm.
just, there's nobody that she was aligning with that was on her level. So she kind of just fell by the wayside.
Yeah, and I did miss Jenny did get 5 or fewer votes. She ended up with 3 after tonight.
Right.
But I do agree with you. Like, yeah, this she kind of just got stuck. But she could have built a stronger relationship with Daniel. She could have built a stronger relationship
Mhm.
with Hai. She could have built a stronger relationship with Lydia, and she didn't. Her name was coming up in this episode. Yeah, it screwed her over that Chanel didn't have a vote, but her name was coming up in this episode by people because she hadn't built the relationship she needed to with them.
Right, and Daniel told, Jenny, like, "Hey, they're saying your name." So
Mhm.
if I was Jenny, like, I'd very much have to consider who I'm aligning with and see if, like, that's the actual good way to go, or do I go up to Lydia and Hai and be like, "Hey, Daniel told me you guys are voting for me.
Mhm.
Why don't we try and, like, not do that and maybe go Daniel or something because he's trying to play too hard too fast and something that way, but she was just not on it enough to think that way and was more loyal to Mike, loyal to Daniel, loyal to Chanel, where like it's a new school game, there's a whole bunch of advantages floating around and people apparently don't have votes constantly, so
Yeah. She had the stray bullet here. I mean, she just unfortunately got the stray bullet and
Mhm.
it happened. I mean, she's gone. Um I don't know why they were so trusting of Daniel. It seems like he's not a very trustworthy guy. I don't think that's really surprising. Like just based on watching the show, it doesn't seem like he's trying to prove to be trustworthy to a lot of these people. So I'm
Yeah.
surprised that they were so trusting of him, but he's still there. Um One other thing I wanted to bring up was Marianne's survivor watching. Did you catch this?
Yeah, she only has missed a couple episodes of Tocantins.
6 episodes of Tokenshin. She has seen
But the
everything else.
Tocantins is amazing. How do you miss 6 episodes?
Well, I want to know what happened. Why did she miss 6 episodes of
Did
Tokenshin? I
she
need that question answered.
maybe she watched out of order, and those were the last 6 she needed before going out on the island or something.
Like, I want like people will say, like, I stopped watching that season because I hated blank.
But
Did she hate
Tocantins is
somebody so
amazing.
much on Tokenshin? Like, would she maybe she just couldn't watch it because Tyson got voted out, so she said, "Screw this, I'm not doing it anymore." That's just a weird one to not watch, and I'm very confused by it.
I mean, Tyson gets voted out in 2 other seasons, like
True, true. Maybe she didn't like him as much, but then I just thought that was funny and something that I
Yeah,
really would like the answer to,
I
for sure.
know. Marianne, hit us up.
Yeah, let me know. Why did you do this? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me, and that feels like a season that everybody should watch.
I just
Um,
finished a rewatch of Tocantins, so yeah, I was just very confused.
yeah, that's great, and I just thought it was funny that she said that. So yeah, that was it. In terms of who had confessionals tonight, I just want to say that after a great week last week, only 9 of the 15 people had confessionals tonight. So last week, only 2 missed it. It was Lydia, and I forget who the other one was. I think it was Roxroy. It was Lydia and Roxroy who didn't get one last week. This week, only 9 of the 15 got confessionals, and one of them just went home. So a lot different, but I get it because there was so much focus on the tribal council.
Yeah, I mean, if this tribal council wasn't the way it was, then I could understand, like, you know, I understand why some people were missing, but, like, just the fact that they didn't go to the beach, that was a little, like, "Alright." Like,
Yeah.
they don't need confessionals, but you could spare 3 minutes.
Let's see them just laying down.
Yeah.
Let's let us know that they're there and they're not in like a shelter somewhere, like where they had to bring everybody from Millennials versus Gen X or something. Like that would
Yeah.
just be nice. That would just be nice. So that's it. I mean, that's what I got. It's weird to not be able to talk about one tribe literally at all because
I
they never
know.
showed up. But next week
What would
looks like it's gonna
probably
be a
be
little
the
bit
other
more even.
20 minutes.
Yeah, that would have been the other 20 minutes. It really would have. So that's all I got for tonight. McKenna, thank you for jumping in and doing this
Oh,
for Alexa.
of
Alexa will be
course.
back at some point on this weekend. We don't know when we're going to podcast yet. We haven't talked about it yet, I don't believe. If we did, I forgot. So we'll have to do it again anyway. But You're going to still be doing stuff. I know you're done
Yes.
with Amazing Race. You're done
Done
with
with
Pearl
Amazing
Islands.
We have one more episode of Pearl Islands
Okay.
left. We have the finale. And then we're still continuing Blood versus Water, which should be ending in a couple weeks. I don't know. They're on day 40 out of like 47 or something like that.
Okay, so that's for Australia, for anybody
Yeah,
who's
for
confused by that.
Australian Survivor. Not Australian Outback.
Yeah.
And then after we finish up Pearl Islands, we'll be taking a little bit of a break, but Annabelle and Alex and I will be back watching Survivor Vanuatu, a Survivor Specialist favorite.
Yeah.
So we are looking forward to watching that. If you guys have any other ideas, feel free to float them by me. You could also wind up being my co-host for it. So
It's true.
if you
McKenna literally is running this thing. She's the little like hamster in the wheel right now, and Alexa and I are just happy the lights are on. That's all that's happening here. So no, McKenna has been doing a lot for us, and we're trying to. The big thing for Alexa and I is right now is we're going through really busy times with our jobs and everything. Survivor's back on. The focus here for us is on the YouTube channel, but we want to make sure that the patrons are still getting their worthwhile. So that's why we have the fantasy games going, the power ranking game, which we'll update again on Saturday/Sunday, whatever day we end up podcasting. But yeah, we want to have something going on there, and McKenna's been killing it, and I know she's been getting a lot of help from her friends. So it's been really good, and we appreciate everybody who's been helping us out because it has kept us kind of even, and now we got to hit that growth spurt and just fly up. As people start to watch us tonight. I will say, McKenna, tonight was the most people watching us live since the season began. So good job,
That's
McKenna.
awesome.
Whatever you did it right. Keep telling people
it's all the patrons. All the patrons want to actually see my face.
They don't care about me and Alexa. They're only here for you. That's all it is. So that's it. I appreciate everybody coming on. Actually, after this, John Millsip and I, another patron who's also been helping out McKenna, we're going to do our Oscar preview. Yeah. So if any of you are movie fans, check that out. We're going to be going through every category, and we'll help you win your Oscar pools. John will be able to help you a lot more than I will this year because he's watched all the movies and I've watched a whole lot of nothing. So that'll be after this. And then Alexa and I will be back at some point this weekend to do our predictions for episode 4, and I can finally tell her.
I'm very glad I was not doing the predictions.
I'm telling you, and I can tell her exactly how I feel about Chanel and where she's at. I called Jenny going home. I feel really good about that one. I had her in 15.
Mine too.
Yeah, I had her in 15. I had a feeling that she was going to get screwed. I had the right person for all the wrong reasons this week.
Yeah, for sure.
So definitely weird to feel that way, but thank you, McKenna. Thanks everybody for listening.
Anytime.
Patreon.com/Survivor Specialist. Go become patrons. $20 patrons get the most. Become any type of patron, though, and I am going to be grateful. And we'll see everybody on this weekend.